to this presentation, and just want to really quick mention who's with me. I've got Monica LaMura with me, who's USD Eastern's Director of Marketing and Communications. Monica and I are going to spend some time here at the beginning going over kind of the case for tennis and sharing some of our resources and the things that we have available to help you as providers to deliver a tennis program. We also have a great panel of park and rec providers with us. We have Michelle Skelly, we have Hassan Dajani, and we have Kelly Bartel, who just reminded me that she is a SUNY Portland graduate. So we're excited to have them with us as well. The second half of our presentation is going to be a panel discussion. So we'll bring them in a little bit later, but they're with us throughout, and they're there to correct me if I make any mistakes here early on. So excited to have everybody here, and here we go. So basically what we're here to do today is kind of make the case for tennis and tell you why tennis is a great sport, not just to play, but in the case of everyone that we're talking to today, why you as a park and rec professional or working for a community-based organization or in a school, why you would want to bring tennis, why you'd want to deliver a tennis program to your constituents. So we are going to kind of go over the health benefits of tennis. We're going to talk about tennis obviously as a lifetime sport, which I think I started playing when I was about 6, and my parents are still playing in their 70s, and they're not the oldest people playing tennis. It's also something you can do as a family. I'm evidence of that, but don't worry, we won't put any video on of me playing with my kids, but it's a fun sport. Families can play together, and we're going to share a lot of the things we can offer in terms of support, both marketing, financial support, some equipment benefits that we have, and then we're going to share, again, some examples from providers in our section as to why tennis is a good sport, what they've done with tennis, and why they've been successful with it. So in terms of starting to answer the question, so tennis has changed in recent years, and Michelle's going to talk a little bit about this later because she was at the forefront of this change when we right-sized tennis for kids. I think when you play a lot of other sports, when kids play, they're not shooting on a 10-foot basket, right? They're not running 90 feet first base, maybe at 60 feet. They're not throwing 60 feet, 6 inches to home plate. We make the courts smaller. We make the equipment appropriate for youth and for their development. And we've done that. And again, Michelle will speak to that later because she was instrumental in this happening at the national level. But we use, I brought some samples with me. We use age appropriate equipment, including lower bouncing balls. I think if we think of tennis, we think of, and Michelle, or I'm sorry, Monica, if you want to go to the next slide, go for it. Sorry. I think a lot of times we think of tennis being played on a full-size court, a 78-foot court. We watch professional tennis and we see the guys standing even further behind the baseline, so they're turning it into like a 90-foot court, and balls are bouncing up really high. And if you've ever played tennis with a traditional yellow ball, you know how heavy that ball is. So it's difficult for kids to rally, and to be honest, it's difficult for beginners of any age to rally right off the bat. And what we would like to see is people enjoy the sport and have success with it right away, whether you're a kid who's starting at the age of 4 or 5 or 6, or whether you're an adult, whether you're a senior citizen that's coming into the sport for the first time. We obviously want you to be successful. So we want you to have fun. So we've developed some new balls. We have foam balls, which as you can see, they're yellow, but they're bigger than traditional tennis balls, and obviously they're foam, so they're a lot easier. If they hit you, you're not going to get hurt. And this is a red felt ball, again, a little bit bigger than a traditional yellow ball, and also a lot softer. These balls will bounce on any surface, whether you're playing on a traditional tennis court, or you're playing outside on blacktop, or being where we are up here in upstate New York. We have to do a lot of tennis inside, obviously, and not just on traditional courts, but these balls will work in gyms, they'll work in community centers. I know in the past, I've delivered, when I've come to Cortland and delivered workshops, I've been in lecture halls, and we've played tennis there. And again, hopefully we'll be back to doing that next year, setting up the small court in the room where I'm giving the presentation. As I mentioned, tennis is a great family activity, and I think we do want to address the pandemic, obviously, and how tennis is a safe sport as well. So we've seen retailers selling more tennis rackets, selling more balls, people being more interested in the sport. And I think that environment we're in right now, tennis obviously allows for distance, right? And it's got a lot of inherent benefits that some other sports don't have. Again, the opportunity to play with your family and play with the people that you're spending more time with, that's obviously been something that's been attractive to people lately. We want to make tennis accessible to anyone, and I think the equipment again helps make that happen. In addition to making it easier for beginners, we also use this equipment when we teach tennis to people with disabilities so they can participate, right? We want everybody to be able to participate in the sport. We want to eliminate, at least lower, if not eliminate barriers, and we want to make it as affordable as possible. We can do that. We can help with that in terms of grants. We do have multiple grants available at different times of the year. We actually have a grant that's out right now called the Eastern Support Grant. And the whole idea behind that grant is just to support providers that are delivering tennis, whether for the first time or it's a tennis facility that regularly offers tennis, but they want to try something new to get people maybe to come inside because they haven't played inside before, or they're a little nervous to play inside. Now in the situation to share some of the safety stuff they're doing, which Monica's going to do later. But we typically almost throughout the year have some type of grant available. We have staff at our section, so I should mention that our section covers all of New York State. We also cover a small portion of Connecticut and the northern third or so of New Jersey. And we have tennis service representatives like me, each of our regions, each of our 6 regions. So I cover basically all of upstate New York. And then we have a TSR that covers our Long Island region and Metro, which is the 5 boroughs. And then we have one who covers our New Jersey and also our southern region, which is Westchester, Rockland, Dutchess County, some of the counties just north of New York City. But we're here to help, and we can help out with grants. We can kind of link you to what the appropriate grant might be given your situation, what you're looking to do. And grants can help fund equipment. They can help pay for instructors. They can help pay for court time if it is happening inside on a court, or if you need to rent space. They can help with marketing. We try to give you a little bit of seed money to help allow the program to go off, and also to hopefully make the program a little less expensive for participants. Mentioned safety, social distancing with tennis. One thing with kids in tennis, we do want to make the court a little bit smaller. So that does become a little bit of a challenge there, but there's still ways to keep kids separated enough where they can still rally back and forth. Again, we don't want to put kids on the baseline hitting full court, but we can make the court smaller and still provide enough space where kids are separated from each other, but they can also rally. I'm not going to show this, but in lieu of net, sometimes we'll use barrier tape or what looks like caution tape, so you can actually rally under the net, kids or even adults. It's even fun to do for adults. We do that again, we've done that in the past at the conference. So again, it makes it easier for kids to be able to rally right away and send the ball back and forth, whether it's over a net, under a net, whether there's no net at all, right? Whether there's a spot on the floor that we're aiming for, whatever it might be. I mentioned training in here, and that gets into, that's where we get into all the different things that you can do. So we have a ton of resource materials. I did bring one of those. This is our Red Ball curriculum. So it's not, everything's Net Generation branded in the youth space. And we do offer, we have a safe play program where we require our providers to go through a background screen, which is free, and we pay for it. And as a national governing body like we are, we partner with the U.S. Olympic Committee and the other NGBs, make sure that we are delivering tennis in a way that's safe, both from a health standpoint, but also for parents that want to make sure when they're signing up their kid for a program, if it's being supported by us, we make sure that all the providers and the instructors have gone through the safe play program. So once you've done that, and which is free to do, you have access to the curriculum I showed, but also a whole bunch of different curriculums. So I showed the red ball curriculum because I showed red foam balls earlier. We also have orange balls, which is kind of the next level toward a traditional yellow ball. Also, then we have green balls, so everything progresses. And when we do a training, we talk a lot about progression, right? Kids are closer together. Maybe they're self-rallying at first. Maybe they're just tapping the ball up, then they're letting the ball bounce and hit the ground. Then eventually, maybe they're going over a line with a partner. Like I said, maybe they're going under the tape, and eventually they're building into where they can actually rally over a net, which again may still not be 78 foot. It may be a 36 foot court or a 60 foot court, depending on their age ball that they use. But we do offer free trainings. We've transitioned from in-person to virtual to a certain extent now, but we're hoping to go back to in-person. when it's safe. But in addition to the training, we also have activity videos online that you can access, again, for free. All of the support we offer is free. And actually, the one item that we initially asked for, or have been asking for since I started with the organization a long time ago, was an organizational membership. And starting in 2021, we won't even be asking for an organizational membership anymore. So commitment that we're looking for is just an organization that's excited about tennis, and that wants to utilize our resources and deliver a program that young kids or adults, whoever the constituents are going to enjoy and hopefully want to keep playing. Because obviously our overall goal is to make sure we get as many people exposed to the sport as possible, introduced to the sport, and hopefully they become frequent players. And even if let's say they can't play right now, it's tough for me to play because it's 2 young kids and working and a wife that's working. I hope to go back to it pretty soon as my kids have gotten into the sport now. So it's something that, again, you can go back to later in life. So there's a lot of reasons to play tennis. But I think the main thing for us and what we try to do is make it as easy as possible for a provider. So at the end, you'll see a slide that has my contact information on it and also Monica's. So if you're interested, we'd love for you to reach out to us. We can find out where you are and connect you with the appropriate tennis service representative or staff person that can help you. We offer a lot of specific programs too and products. The great thing is, again, we just want to get people playing, make sure it's fun, and do what we can to help you deliver that program. And we want you to have fun too as the program provider. And I think we can make that happen with a lot of resources and the training that we have available.
Yep.
I'm going to pass it off to Monica right now, who's ready to talk.
I'm always ready to talk. So, as Joe said, we just want to make it as easy as possible for people to offer tennis, especially in the parks right now, because really sort of seeing what's happened this year, and it's been a really challenging year, but I think in terms of tennis and providing people with a safer, great outlet for families, as Joe mentioned, for people who maybe had put their racket down for years and they're ready to play again. We've seen racket sales, as Joe had mentioned, really increase over the past 8 months. People are out, people are playing in parks. I mean, we're trying to find and develop entry-level programs in our facilities to accommodate this boom in tennis because of park play. So, it's certainly an incredible time for the sport, despite everything that's going on and all the challenges that we're all encountering, because I think people are recognizing it as a really great option to get out, to get active, to be using all these great muscles. And I'm going to speak to this in a moment, but not to harp on COVID and this sort of season too long, but I think it really has presented an opportunity for tennis to shine as a way to be socially distant, as a way to get great exercise, to get out there with your family. So it really is. I think people are really recognizing it as a great option. We want to make sure that we're there and prepared to offer the right programs. So with that said, we have a partnership with Mount Sinai, and they've been a really great resource for us this year in terms of sharing all these great benefits about why tennis is so great, how it, in addition to really working your muscles in your body, it's so great for stress relief. And I think so many of us have been so stressed out this year. I know Joe has a couple kids at home, me too. It's just been a lot of family time, a lot of chaos, and tennis can really help, provide that mental clarity. And we've been really flooding the marketplace with graphics and flyers and making sure that people are understanding benefits of tennis and that they're ready to come out and play in the park. So we want to do all the work for you in terms of getting people excited, getting them the resources they need so that they're wanting to play and are looking to you for a way to play. Get to the next slide. So, tennis is, I think, and I've been witnessing this even in my local high school. I'm right by the high school, so I'm seeing people sort of line up and want to play tennis at the high school courts, and maybe are trying to cross train athletes who can't maybe get to their sport right now because of safety reasons and regulations, who are trying tennis. So this sort of speaks to the earlier slide in terms of really, the market being sort of primed for safer sports that people can play at a social distance. Again, and these are messages that went out to people looking to play in parks this summer, all the benefits of why it's a good time to get out there. On the right over here, and I'll move this so everyone can see this graphic, but in terms of how tennis can sort of help you cross train. So, if you're thinking about getting a park tennis program off the ground, I think a great audience to go to are athletes who play a sport already, because they're looking for ways to keep in shape and to stay safe and healthy through this season. So, I think that we're sort of primed now to be speaking to families, to be speaking to current players, to be speaking to new players, anyone who's looking to really get out and get active right now. People are really looking for it. So it's been, and Joe and I have been in this together really since March. And I think what's been great to see sort of through the chaos and through the confusion and the stress of the past 8 months really has been the tennis industry coming together, as Joe mentioned, offering significant grants, significant support in terms of arming our facilities with PPE and safety guidelines and, rewritten return to play guidelines. And it's been an incredible undertaking, not just for Eastern, but for the tennis industry at large, to really help people feel safe in getting back out there. And, I'm not sure if you've seen this poster in your local park, but we've really been flooding again the marketplace with how to help people feel safe, from published literature like this to webinars on how to update your HVAC system if you're an indoor facility. So really making sure that we're doing everything we can to not completely remove risk, because there's always going to be a risk there in terms of COVID right now in this year, but making people feel safe, making providers feel that they're doing everything they can to ensure a mitigated risk for people who want to get out and play. So I wanted to just speak briefly about our conference this year. So every year we hold a weekend conference down in White Plains, New York, and it really is our platform to bring providers together from parks, from schools and PE programs and indoor facilities and college coaches, and really anyone who sort of touches and supports our sport from a provider capacity, to get them all together for one weekend and really go through best practices from the year and industry trends and what's new at Eastern. And it's a really great weekend. It's a lot of fun. We have this award ceremony as well, where we honor some of the stronger programs in our section, and it's just a way for people to mingle and to share ideas and to celebrate accomplishments from the year. And of course, this year, we can't physically bring everyone together, but we're going to have a virtual conference. It's completely free. It's completely open. There's really no limit to attendance. We encourage you to attend. Anyone who you think will be interested in learning about how the game has changed. And as Joe mentioned, this is really kind of a perfect storm in terms of what's happening, from the industry level right now. There's so many changes to the game, including really an entire sort of system change in terms of junior tournament offerings, program offerings, adult offerings. We're going to talk about this a little bit in a slide to come, but a new platform to help organizers really stay on top of what they're offering in their programs. So there's just an incredible amount of innovation that's upon us right now, and we felt that even if we couldn't bring people together physically, to offer this platform as a way to help people feel like they're getting up to date on all these incredible changes that are only going to really improve participation and improve provider ease with offering tennis programs. So this will be the last week in January, starting January 25th through the 30th. We're offering lunchtime sessions, evening sessions. We know everyone's busy and is working, you know, around the clock these days, it seems, but we want to make sure that we're being mindful of people's busy schedules. So more to come from us on this. But again, it'll be completely virtual the last week of January, completely free, and hopefully sessions that really speak to what you're looking for from us at a time that will be available, and they'll all be recorded as well. So you'll be able to access anything that we share there. Okay, so, you know, in speaking to resources, and Joe had mentioned this in an earlier slide, but we really want to provide everything that you would need to get a program off the ground, and not only through physical pieces like this. These are just some customizable flyers that we can create, you know, in our office for you to use how you'd like. But, you know, brainstorming with us, our virtual doors are as open if you're looking to start an innovative program or think about how you can connect with people and what your community is looking for in terms of a sport. You know, call us, work with us. We're more than willing to help you, you know, create materials like these, just to think about even what types of programs would be interesting in the communities where you're running tennis programs. So we have a small lean and mean marketing group, but you know, we really want to support everyone and create custom solutions to what you want to do. Excuse me. So really quickly, this was a national campaign that really sort of spoke to the moment of being sort of in lockdown. This was sort of launched in April, but you can see from the headlines, you know, from Zoom to Boom, from FaceTime calls to tennis balls, and this was really a way to get people excited about, you know, the options of utilizing tennis as a socially distant option that people can access and play tennis. And there was a tremendous amount of money spent on this campaign, really to raise awareness about tennis. And all these ads went to a landing page on USTA.com where people could find local places to play close to home. So we bring this up just to say that, again, you know, the marketplace is really primed for tennis play right now. I think that people are excited about it, people recognize it, and people have just been bombarded with advertising, frankly, from national. So, and this is all to help support, you know, you and what you want to do, and to get people excited about the game. And I think, Joe, if you want to touch on this slide quickly.
Sure, and I just want to follow up on a couple of things. One is Monica and her team, being a small team, do a great job of creating custom flyers and doing social media advertising and a whole bunch of things that I don't even really know about, being tech challenged as I am. But they're just another benefit that we have when you work with us. We can really lean on their expertise to help get the word out. So I know we're getting into the indoor season, but I also want to just make the point that, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later with our panelists, some of the things they do inside. But I mentioned earlier about doing a program in a gym. We want to help out whenever. If you have an opportunity to deliver a program in a gymnasium in January, like, we're there to help, get you the right equipment, the right resources, talk you through the program, help you kind of set it up, how you might want to deliver it, how many kids do you want to have, like how long should that session be, things like that. So even though parks were extremely popular, I think this summer, as people started getting outside again, at least from limited travel that I did, and we're going to speak to one park program here real soon. I think as we move inside, we do want to keep talking about programming inside too, which again doesn't necessarily have to happen on a tennis court. The Chestnut Ridge program. So Chestnut Ridge is in Orchard Park, New York. I'm actually based not far from Orchard Park, and one of our panelists, Michelle, who was involved in this program, is based pretty close as well. So at the beginning of the year, we had plans to get into one relatively large park in each region, and we selected Chestnut Ridge. My colleague Lynn, who covers our adult league program for the Western region, is also our adult programs manager, and who also happens to live here in a hotbed for Eastern staff in this area. But Lynn and I had targeted Chestnut Ridge because, for a lot of reasons. They have 12 beautiful courts. Have recently been redone. They're actually putting up lights now, so come next year. The lights that used to work when I was a kid will be back. There's also a lot of connections with local schools. There is an indoor facility nearby and two others in the northern part of Buffalo that are accessible. So we had plans for a lot of things at Chestnut Ridge, which all kind of went on hold in March, but we were able to get it back up and running again and do some stuff this summer and into the fall. We partnered with a community tennis association, which is basically two gentlemen who are avid tennis players and organizers who care a lot about tennis, care a lot about Chestnut Ridge, have invested a lot of time over the years and wanted to. There's a lot of play that goes on there. People just come up, they play, but we wanted to do a little bit more organized programming. So we did some things on the adult side. We had a flex league where people signed up to play their singles or doubles. It was level based, so you were playing against people of similar ability. You scheduled the match on your own time, so you didn't have to show up at the same time every week. So more convenient for the participants. I think we ended up with over 70 people participating in those different programs or in those different leagues. We also did some drill clinics. We did a mixer basically, which was kind of a weekend show up as a team and play a bunch of other teams and some short time doubles matches. We had the annual tournament that they have every year that took place over a week and had over 200 people participate in it. And on the junior side, we did a middle school, high school program, which is basically organized play and some drilling. So there were modified level players, JV up to varsity, and we had multiple coaches. So they were able to, again, work with kids of similar level. And then we did an under program, which my kids participated in, and I attended a few times, and Michelle led that. It was great because there were kids that have never played before that came. There were some kids that had played, and I'll just let Michelle speak to it a little bit, but I think we ended up just doing a 4-week program in August. It was outdoors. We had no trouble filling it up. We kept numbers down, obviously for safety concerns, but we didn't have any trouble filling it up. And then we did a team challenge at the end, which was kind of a culmination of the event, which allowed kids to play and rally. And that went really well also. I don't know, Michelle, if there's anything you'd like to add about it.
Well, I think you just pretty much said everything I was going to say. Yeah, what was really cool is it wasn't what we had hoped it was going to be pre-COVID. We had bigger plans, but it was exciting to see how quickly the spots filled up. Obviously, there weren't as many spots as we originally had hoped for, but it's, parents were looking for activities for their children to do. I really loved the whole event because we had programs for the adults with the flex leagues and the drill clinics and the tournament. We had, programming for the middle school and high schoolers with the drill clinic. And then we had our junior team, we had our 10 and under. And then we, as Joe mentioned, we finish it up with a team challenge. So kind of bringing that competition to it. But for me, one of the cool things was I had a parent who came to me after bringing her child there for the first time and seeing all of the other activities that were going on and said, I used to play tennis when I was younger. And, can you tell me a little bit more about these drill clinics? And my husband is thinking he might sign up for the tournament. So by bringing everybody together in one spot and having so many different offerings, we provided at least one family that I know of a whole different, set of options to play tennis in a time when before that they really weren't doing much of anything. So it was just a really cool event.
And I think even from the standpoint of the park, a lot of people saw it through the promotion that we did and some other promotions, signed their kids up or signed themselves up and didn't even realize that the courts were there, the shape that they were in. So I think it was kind of a win-win because more people came to the park too, which was part of what we were looking for, not just necessarily, obviously we'd love for you to play tennis, but there's a lot of other things going on at the park too. So it was really cool to be up there a bunch of nights and just see all 12 courts being utilized, people waiting to go on. So it was a great summer at Chestnut Ridge and something we hope to build on next year and expand to other locations throughout the state and throughout our section. I'm going to transition over to our digital tools real quick. I think Monica mentioned this, a new platform that USTA has created called Surf Tennis. Won't get too into it, but basically this is the platform we're moving to starting in 2021 with our tournament product for youth and adults. Our junior team tennis product will be moving in at some point in 2021, and then our adult league, kind of our flagship program, will be moving into serve tennis as well, probably in 2022. But one thing, we've always had digital tools, but they've always been focused on those kind of products, those USTA products that we're identified with. But this new platform has a lot more to it, including a core booking module. It has contacts and membership modules. It has the opportunity to put customized programs in there. People can register through the site. What we did at Chestnut Ridge actually was we ran everything through Serve Tennis as kind of a pilot this summer, and it went really well. I had a chance to use Serve Tennis, both helping the providers put programs in, but also registering my kids, and it was very easy to do. And we were able to send out an email letting people know, hey, we have to postpone because it's raining. We'll move it to another week. We also use the email function through the context module to let parents of the kids that were in the 10U program know that we're going to do the team challenge on September 19th. And we use it as a way to communicate as well. So there's a lot of tools in the Serve Tennis module or in the Serve Tennis platform, and to follow up on what Monica said earlier about the Eastern Conference, we are going to have a session on Serve Tennis. We're going to delve a little bit more into how it's used and how it's been used by providers, including with one of the gentlemen who I mentioned before as part of the Community Tennis Association that helped us run the program at Chestnut Ridge. So again, if you're interested in hearing more about that, I'd be happy to fill you in, or you can reach out to the TSR in your area. I'll help make that connection. But it's another tool that's available. It's actually free to use as well. Just want to touch base on our partners and just highlight a couple as we move to the next slide. And the first partner we want to highlight is New York State Rec and Park Society. We're proud to work closely with that organization and with Lisa Moorhan, the executive director. We partner up to kind of spread the word about different tennis programs. They're great about spreading the word about grants and other things that we have available. I love to attend their conference, both the statewide conference when that comes back into play, hopefully in 2022, I guess. But I know we're looking at possibly some regional conferences next year, and we love to have a presence at those and do workshops. And they're a great partner to help us get tennis into more parks, and hopefully we in turn are helping their members deliver a program that's of benefit to the community and to their constituents. We work closely with Head Penn. They're kind of our equipment partner. They help equip our providers with some of the balls that I showed earlier. We also are working with New York State AFERD and the PTA to try to get tennis in schools. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that with Hassan, who does some programs through his Community Tennis Association in the schools. Obviously, from our standpoint, I know school's a little bit different right now. Today was the day that my kids were home. We're learning from home, so it's definitely a unique challenge. But we have some resources for PE teachers to deliver tennis virtually. We also have a PE teacher curriculum. We can provide free equipment to schools as well. We help connect schools with community partners as a way to get kids playing beyond PE as well, and to provide additional support for PE teachers. So that's part of what what we do. So I want to turn it back to Monica, who's just going to quickly go back to some metrics, I think, Monica, because in our business, we love metrics.
Yeah, we do. So, this sort of goes back to an earlier point that has been made a few times, and that we just want to really support, local providers and get the word out about programs that are being offered and help you find custom solutions to do that. And we're lucky in that we have a real superstar in-house who, her name is Kristen. She's very focused on social. She has a great background and really understanding these platforms. And she's been able to really take our social presence to the next level and create a lot of you'll see on the bottom, just sponsored ads from Eastern. And these are all very highly geo-targeted within each region. It's a very affordable way. You can see some of the cost per clicks, to get the word out. It's much more reasonable and much more effective than, where I come from in my world, way back when I started doing this, when print advertising and radio were really the most popular options, and social has just really eclipsed our ability to get to people where they are, to find them with what they're interested in, and to really help connect people to opportunities to play close to home. So this is just an example of how we can really work with you to get your local programming, out there and get people excited about it.
Awesome, thanks. And so our panelists have been with us. They've been listening to the information that Monica and I have shared. Hopefully I haven't been watching them. Hopefully they haven't been yawning too much and they've been enjoying it. And hopefully everyone else has too. But we want to bring them in now because we want to talk a little bit more about some real world examples. Like we can go on, Monica and I could go on for hours, and in a way I feel like we regularly do, but we want to hear from providers that are actually delivering programs and utilizing some of the resources that we have available, help them be successful. So mentioned Michelle. She's the director of the Town of Hamburg tennis program. She was involved with Chestnut Ridge. And I mentioned her work as a USDA national clinician in the development of our 10 and under program. She's also a USDA Eastern clinician, so she delivers trainings on our behalf, like I mentioned earlier. We also have Kelly Bartell, who I also referenced earlier because she's a graduate of SUNY Cortland, and she's also the recreation supervisor for the Town of Ogden Parks and Recreation Department. And Hassan Dajani is a certified USPTA and PTR pro. So USPTA and PTR are our partnering organizations. We at USDA don't certify teaching pros. We provide resources and support, but we work in collaboration with USPTA's, the United States Professional Tennis Association, and PTR's Professional Tennis Registry, and they certify teaching pros from around the country, and in the case of PTR, around the world. Hassan is the president of the Ossining Community Tennis Association, now in Ossining, New York. So we tried to spread ourselves out geographically here. So we have a downstate person and then a couple of upstate folks with us as well. So I'm just going to throw a few things out there, and anybody can, I'll target them, but feel free to chime in, other members of our panel. But I wanted to start with Kelly. Actually, I'm sure she's thrilled that she gets to go first. You can talk about your experience at SUNY Cortland if you want to, Kelly, or we can stay focused on tennis. What I wanted you to kind of talk about is, I mentioned how we work in collaboration with NYSRPS. We also go to regional conferences, and that's where we first met. You came in and attended one of my long-winded presentations, like my long-winded question right now. But I wanted you just to speak to how you basically came in with limited tennis knowledge and how you've been able to take some of the resources we've provided, some of the work we've done together, and how you've been able to make that work both in Ogden and also, I know, in your previous role as a rec supervisor in the town of Hilton, Parma.
Yeah, Joe, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, Joe's right. I did not know much about tennis, and then went to one of his sessions in one of the New York State Parks and Rec state conferences, and it was very similar to this one, only we got to play, which was way cooler than sitting here virtually. But he just kind of showed all the different equipment and the different resources and everything he talked about today, and I took that back to my current position and just thought about how we could incorporate it. So we started out two like standalone programs that we did. We do a little rookie tennis program that's for 3 to 5 year olds. That one's definitely has its challenges when you're dealing with 3-year-olds, but with all the resources that USDA and that generation could provide, we were definitely able to make that work and use age appropriate equipment, like they mentioned, railing under the net. That worked out really well, and just doing different things, using the different resources, the books that they provide you. Those are great if you have no idea what you're doing. You just read through those books and come up with drills and what type of ball you should use, what type of racket you should use. In addition to our little rookie program, we kind of paired that with a youth tennis program that was for ages 6 to 12. And again, use those coaching resources that USDA provides. And we were able to train ourselves as coaches. I ran the program along with one of my other coworkers. So we were able to not only train ourselves how to do it, but then we were able to just pass that on to the kids as well. And everyone had a really, really awesome time. And we got a lot of great feedback from the parents that said, my kids, if you didn't run this program, they probably never would have picked up a tennis racket until they were maybe a lot older in life. So that was really cool to hear that we got some younger kids to try the game and start learning how to play.
I think well, I just on the resources, we you can actually follow the resources verbatim that we have. We have lesson plans that you can utilize, and again, it's all about progression and building up. But I think one of the keys is, you know, it's important to be enthusiastic and to have fun. I think when you're teaching tennis, and kind of especially when you're working with young kids, kind of in a way, be a kid, and be willing to be flexible and adjust and adapt. And Kelly, being a professional in the field, is great with kids and great at that. So and I think you had most of what you needed to run a tennis program.
Yeah,
probably didn't realize it.
Yeah, and the way we kind of ran it too, at least for the younger kids, for our 3 to 5 group, for our little rookie program, Kyle and I, my coworker, we would be the coaches per se, and then we'd have parents help out too. So, I mean, obviously in this day and age, that's not as easy to do, but that was very helpful because we would deliver the resources to the kids and the parents alike, and then the parents could help us deliver the program, and we could go around to each child individually and work with them kind of one-on-one. So that worked too. And yeah, the books that we would use, you can always modify or add to whatever you see. If it's a little bit too involved, you can kind of dumb it down for the age group. Those resources are awesome and super helpful. They helped us build all of our programs.
I also love the fact that you guys, in addition to the standalone programs, you've also incorporated tennis into some of the existing programs you have, both summer camp, after school program. And I think that's another option, because I think a lot of organizations, whether Park and Rec or otherwise, are running maybe multi-sport camps or full-day camps in the summertime, where kids might get dropped off as early as like 7 a.m. and get picked up at 6 p.m. And tennis may not have been something that's been in those programs in the past, or maybe it's an after school program where we're inside and, you know, we have access to a gym. What activity can we do safely in the gym? I think, again, with our resources, I think tennis can be an option there, and it doesn't necessarily require you to set up a standalone program per se. And I know that in Ogden, you guys kind of started that route and then got some interest, and were able to then start a program on your own. So thanks. I'll get back to you. Don't worry, Kelly. I want to go over to Hassan now and just talk a little bit about what you guys have done through Ossining CTA. And one thing I want to highlight with you guys is multiple organizations kind of working together. I know you work with the Park and Rec department. You're the president of the Community Tennis Association, which, by the way, a community tennis association is typically a group of volunteers that are dedicated, love tennis, dedicated to the sport, want to grow it. And those are organizations that obviously we love to partner with and support. But I wanted you just to talk a little bit about all the different kind of organizations, including the local club, the schools, everybody that you kind of work with to help grow tennis in your community.
Sure, yeah. It's been great to work with the USTA and Eastern. But we formed a really good partnership between us, the Community Tennis Association for Ossining, and the USTA, and then a local private club, which was Club Fit Briarcliff. And the way that it worked was, you know, we set up a program and had the registration run through the Parks and Rec. So we worked with the Parks and Rec as well. And the instruction was provided by the tennis pros from the local club. So it was really great, and we were able to get a grant from the USTA Eastern, which covered the cost of the instructors, which was great. And USTA also provided, I think, some equipment, rackets and balls for the program as well. For a different program, we also had some classes within phys ed classes within the schools, within the school years. So before COVID, we were in 6 schools that we ran tennis programs, again, with the same kind of partnership where we worked with the local club, Club Fit, and were able to get a grant from the USTA as well, and provide tennis within phys ed during school hours, which was great, and getting kids exposed to tennis.
I need to mention, I love your background. Hassan came prepared for this call. It has a really cool tennis court. I won't ask you if that's your backyard, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's Roland Garros inspired, but it's not my court.
Just wanted to follow up on the schools point, because I think working with schools has been a priority of our section for several years now, and Michelle's gone in and delivered multiple workshops for PE teachers. We have a lot of material available for PE teachers, but I think PE teachers sometimes are overwhelmed with all the different things that they need to cover. So if we can get them to offer a unit, it might be a week long. And when you're talking about, the length of a school year, typically you're talking about 40 weeks. So, and it's just one small element. So when we can link a school, link a PE teacher to an outside provider, like what you guys do, and allow for either additional support in the PE class, whether it's a before school program, an after school program, and the more kids are exposed to the sport, more obviously, hopefully, the more they're going to be drawn to it. And then from there, having the summer program that you guys do as well, it allows for multiple play opportunities during the year. So I think it's great that you guys connect with schools, and I know one of the challenges oftentimes is how we get in and how do we make that initial contact. So if you have anything kind of tips or anything to share there in terms of maybe there's a park and rec that wants to run a program and would like to partner with the school, or the tennis coach of the school perhaps as well. But any thoughts as it relates to that?
I think all of those. I think, when doing things in the summertime, we partner with the Parks and Rec. So somebody like Kelly is the person we go to in our area and talk about the programs that we think we can put on, and would they want to put on programs within the Parks and Rec offerings, basically. And so we help facilitate that, and we take the burden off of the Parks and Rec people by getting the program going and setting it up, and they don't have to worry about it, and administering it. As far as schools are concerned, the way we worked it was we worked with the athletic director for all of Ossining schools. So he had, he basically managed all of the phys ed teachers within each of the schools, and with his blessing, we did do a week of tennis within each of 6 schools, and there's still other schools we'd like to get to, but we haven't gotten there yet. But we had great feedback. So I think, contacting either phys ed teachers or Parks and Rec supervisors is the way to go.
And we mentioned earlier the PTA too, parents. That might be a good way to get into the school, and maybe before or after school programs when, again, we're in a position where an outside provider can come into a school. I mentioned the school partner process earlier, and we want to connect a PE teacher with, could be an outside pro, could be a certified pro like Asana is, it could be a park and rec though, because we want to get those kids playing as much as possible. We want to expose them to other opportunities. So we'd love to help park and recs connect with local schools, kind of in a mutual beneficial relationship to help improve both programs and get more kids playing. And we're all about developing the full athlete, as much as obviously we're the tennis association. We want kids to be active, and we certainly support multi-sport play. We're not saying that kids need to play tennis every minute of every day, but it'd be great if they did. But we want tennis to be an option, and if there's an opportunity for them to play in PE, maybe sign up for an after-school program if it works. Hey, there's some opportunities to play in the summer, and then there's also opportunities to play kind of organically, like, hey, let's go play, let's go hit, or in my case, like, let's go hit on the driveway, which is sloped, so it makes it a little bit challenging, but we make it work. So I wanted to go to Michelle and mention Michelle was instrumental in developing a lot of the materials that we have available now, and kind of the whole youth tennis. At one point it was called 3660, which was the length, the size of the courts. It's had different names, but basically the methodology has been the same throughout, which is play-based, it's fun, it's age appropriate, and it's promoting fun and success and safety for kids. So through that, and her role as a national clinician, Michelle got to go to some cool places. I think she actually got to go to the White House and participate in the Easter egg roll. I know she did some stuff at Disney World. She got to travel all around the country. And unfortunately, that made the trainings that I offered her here in upstate New York maybe not as attractive to her, but she did those too, which was always awesome. But I'd love to, if you want to, tie in some of your experiences with kind of some of the stuff we've talked about in terms of the equipment and kind of our approach, especially to the youth tennis and getting kids playing and keeping them in the sport.
Yeah. I've been just so lucky to have been a part of all this. And it's all thanks to Joe. He's the one who got me involved with everything. You know, I've been a tennis pro for over 30 years. And, you know, I'll be honest, I used to teach in a very traditional way. No matter how old the kid was, they were using a yellow ball and a full-size racket, and they were, I hate to admit it, probably waiting in line. And when I got involved with taking a look at how we teach kids to be developmentally appropriate. So it's not just age appropriate, but it's also taking into consideration their size, how that changes over the course from between ages 5 and 10, and now even we bring that up to 12. Where they are socially, where they are emotionally, where they are, you know, all of that development. How do we bring that into the sport of tennis? And as a teacher as well, that just kind of tied in everything that I've always done. So really lucky to kind of be on the forefront of all of that. One of the first tennis pros in the country, there were like maybe 50 of us throughout the country that were trained to go out and deliver this. And when we first started delivering it, people had questions because it looked very different, and it was met with, I don't know, a lot of mistrust, and we don't know if this is really going to last. And, you know, here we are now, I want to say what, about 10 years later, close to that. And it's growing even bigger than ever, to the point where we just know that that's how we want to teach kids. And I kind of look at it, yeah, I've had some really great experiences. I've been to the White House twice. I've been to Disney World. I think I was there 3 or 4 times during the, they used to have a special weekend through ESPN, and they would bring in different interactive sports for the kids to play. And the whole reason we did that was because we wanted to expose not just, you know, coaches, but also parents and kids to this new way of playing tennis. So it was a really great, and it was a grassroots kind of a thing, where tennis is always looked at from, you know, our professionals on down. We wanted to build it from the bottom up. We wanted to build it with families and kids in mind. So we wanted to expose families and kids to it first. So that was the reason why we had all these great opportunities to go out and bring the sport to kids. And to show parents that, hey, this really works. So then when parents went back to their, you know, providers, their Parks and Rec program, and they saw maybe the old way, they were, you know, what, we might know of a way that looked more fun. So it was kind of a cumulative effort. And for me, what's been really exciting is not just doing those things, but I don't care if I'm at Disney World or if I'm at a park, you know, in Schenectady. The fact that I get to work with coaches, and I help coaches and PE teachers and Parks and Rec providers understand a little bit better on how to make tennis fun and accessible and exciting for kids in a sport that they want to play and continue to play. That's what's exciting for me, because I feel like in a small way, I'm helping to grow the game. I'm bringing it to the people who are going to bring it to the kids. So that for me has been the biggest thrill.
And your enthusiasm when you deliver trainings is infectious, and it's that way too when you're on the court. As I've seen you deliver programs for a long time as the head pro at Wanaka Country Club here in Hamburg, and also now as the director of the Town of Hamburg program. And I just want to kind of wrap up my part, at least, with just quickly on the town program. I think, well, one thing that was great this summer was some of the kids from the town program participated in Chestnut Ridge. So again, similar to what I talked about earlier, multiple opportunities for kids to participate. But we also brought in some new kids. And I think some of the highlights of the town program is the year-round aspect of it. I talked about earlier being able to play tennis in a gym. And through the Town of Hamburg, there are programs offered in the gym for kids. It's also level-based now, which is kind of key. So again, you're progressing from red ball to orange ball, and you're playing with kids of similar level. And now also partnering, mentioned Hassan's partnership with Club Fit. Kelly and Ogden, they're just starting a partnership with Empire Tennis Academy, which is a indoor tennis facility outside of Rochester. And in the case of Hamburg, there's a partnership with a local indoor facility with 2 courts where we've been able to deliver programs so kids in the wintertime can also play on court and do it inexpensively through an an Eastern grant. So again, like I did earlier, I kind of touched on everything. I'm sure I didn't though, because you have a lot better ideas than I do. So I'd love on any of those or kind of any other highlights you have from the Town of Hamburg program that you run so well.
What's been exciting about that is we've taken what was just a summer program where kids came for a couple of weeks, maybe once or twice a week for a lesson, and that was it. And then they didn't come back for another summer, or they didn't come back at all. And we, in discussions with the entire rec program directors, we decided we really wanted to make this bigger. So we took a look at what do we offer just even in the summer. We don't want kids coming once or twice. I want kids coming as many times. So the kids were coming maybe 2-3 days a week. The one day was just a play day where they were able to come and play. But then we said, we don't want to stop here. We want them to be able to continue to play. So we offer indoor programming in a gymnasium. And now we are offering programming for the next level up, for the next, ball, the color ball up in an indoor facility. And the goal is, of course, is to create year-round tennis players. And eventually there's going to be a competitive component with JTT. That's going to be part of it. So it's all about, and it can happen anywhere. Just taking a program and saying, where do you want to be? It's not going to happen right away, but year 1, year 2, year 3, and just progressively growing it. So we've got the kids going through progressions of development, but we also have the program going through progressions of development as well.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank our panelists so much. This has been a really great presentation, and you're all wonderful in everything that you're doing. And I for one think that tennis is really in a good spot, and we're poised for some great success moving forward. So thank you all so much. And I think that's a wrap.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for participating. And tennis is in a great spot because of you. And hopefully, if you want to just go one more slide, Monica, if anybody has questions, please reach out to us. Monica's contact information, her email, my email. We'd love to hear from you and help you either expand the program you're already offering or perhaps start a new one. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our recorded session. Thank you for everyone who attended. I hope you got some good information out of that. And we can go on to the next session that starts at 9:45.